Welcome, my friends. Come in. Come into the light. Santa has presents. Some presents are the present of knowledge. I'm going to help you today be able to develop your own spiritual being in the way that our ancestors did. I'm going to introduce you to the most sacred and holy plant, the cannabis plant. I live in Canada. Marijuana is now legal, and I can legally grow 4 plants. Now, I have a medical marijuana card. That's what it looks like. And I can go to a clinic and buy my marijuana. The marijuana, though, is expensive, and it should be free. You should be able to just put some seeds in the backyard and grow it just the way our ancestors did. Just like they grew hemp for rope. Vikings had rope. Anyhow, seeing that we can have 4 plants, you need to get seeds. Now, the seeds, if you take a look at a marijuana plant and you look at the top of it and you see a little round circle and a little dot in the middle where it was joined onto the plant, that's a female. But if you look at the end of a marijuana seed and it's a little bit irregular looking, well, that's a male. So if you want female flowers, do this. However, because seeds are so expensive, it would be also a wise thing to take 1 male, 3 females, and let the male fertilize them, and then you'll have 1,000 seeds. And it's perfectly okay because the flower bract that goes around the seed is just full of THC anyhow, so it doesn't have to be pure flower. You'll get plenty high and nose to nose with God before you know it. So that's one thing. Now, the Bible has an interesting story about Moses. I think that most people can relate to Moses. And Moses was a shaman. In other words, a man who has a spiritual experience and then shares it with the tribe. So what was noticed was that Moses would go into the temple and he would anoint himself with oil. Anoint it with oil. And then the people would see smoke coming out of the temple. That's when he was communing with God. And then God came to him through the smoke. That's what it says. God came to him through the smoke. And then he would get tripped out, have visions, and later on go back and tell the people what they were about. But what was really going on in a practical sense was you take olive oil and you soak pounds and pounds of cannabis in it, and the ancient people called it cannabisum, but it's the same, you know. So they would take cannabis and soak it in the oil, and the THC goes into the oil, and then they would also use it as an incense to burn. And so just like a cigarette patch, if you put that on your arm, the nicotine is absorbed into your body through your skin. Well, if you put oil all over you, it's going to be absorbed into your body and you're going to have a real high experience. And that's what Moses was doing. But people in those days, they didn't know about DNA and receptors in their mind. They just saw everything as if it was from God. You know, if it rained and ruined your crops, God was punishing you. If you went fishing and caught a fish, God was being good to you. They just accepted that. So this is what Moses was doing. He was anointing himself, just like Jesus used it too, but anointing himself with the oil. It was going into his system. He would go into the temple. The people would see the smoke rising. Well, he's burning cannabis. and he's smelling it, he's smoking it. The Scythians would put a little tent over their head and put the cannabis on hot rocks and breathe the smoke. Queen Victoria did the same thing. She had a little tent. She would put the cannabis on the burning embers. She would breathe the smoke, and then she wouldn't have menstrual cramps. So cannabis has been around for thousands of years. The oldest reference we have to it, or place where we have it, is in a 5,300-year-old Chinese grave, a monk, they believe, and he had one of these urns with you would put the rocks in and burn, and he had that in the grave with him. So it's been around for a long time. Now that transgressed into soma, and there's a variety of somas. Soma is anything that you drink and then you commune with God. So soma, you could say, well, peyote is soma, ayahuasca is soma, opium is soma, ephedrine is soma, cannabis is soma, magic mushrooms are soma. So, but beyond that argument, what they find in Greece and places in the Holy Lands is where there's old pots still in the temples, and when they scrape the resin, they get cannabis, cannabosum, and opium, or cannabosum and ephedrine. I think that's the right name. It's a plant that's sort of an upper. In the Bible, when they're referring to somas or this type of thing that they would drink, it was really just THC oil, cannabis oil. Put it on your skin, get high, smoke it, get high, eat it, get high. When Aladdin rubbed the lamp and the genie came out, really rubbed it 3 times, but the smoke was really hashish smoke, and he was getting high. So that's a big thing, and that's just a little bit of history. Now, what I'm going to show you is take a seed, and they're very tiny. Get a magnifying glass, just like Sherlock Holmes. Take a look. And I've got to turn it around, of course. There we go. Now this one is a female. It's got a perfectly round little button on it where it was attached. So we're going to take that, and what we're going to do is actually, I've already done it, but anyhow, you just take a little bowl with a bit of water and a bit of tissue, and you soak them. And I've got one here that's already sprouted after 2 days. So I'm going to plant that one, and hopefully the other 3 will sprout soon. But anyhow, that's what we're going to do now. And I'll show you that in a minute. Anyhow, back in a minute, guys. Good times are about to happen. Okay, my friends, so this is a little side room that I have, and I got a little bit of soil, a couple of tools, and this is where I'm going to set this up. So anyhow, I'll just show you this stuff, and then the next thing you'll see this room turn into a garden. Done. What we've done here is we've got some LED grow light, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so basically we're going to be hanging the light from these little posts, and we have the 2 switches here, one for light rays and the other for blue light and red light, and we can connect them in series. You can plug one into the other, and this is what it looks like. So it's like a whole bunch of little tiny lights is what it is. and we'll just hang that up above the plants. They give you this little adjustable hook so that you can raise and lower your light, and of course this is to connect the four corners to that. Anyhow, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to transform this room and have a blast doing it. Anyhow, I'll talk to you later. Bye now. Okay guys, so this is the start of the grow room. Now I've got 2 lights, and they cost $140 each, so I've got plenty of light, more than enough for plants. But anyhow, light's good, and if it ever is possible, we may be able to legally grow a few more someday. But right now, when I spread them out, I'll have 1 light for 2 plants. That'll be great. Basically, I've spent over $600. Now, sure, there's the light, but then, you get your pots and your dirt and your stuff like that. And, like a watering can and a spray can and a couple of little trellises and stuff. But I also bought a couple of fans, and then there was a couple of other things. Like I had to buy some dark sunglasses because it was so bright that to go in the grow room, when I went out, everything looked kind of greeny blue or something like that. So it's not good for your eyes. So anyhow, that's what I did. But this is a simple operation. I've got some mylar coming, so I'll put some mylar on the walls, up in this area up here, so that it reflects the light back onto them. But this is the basic startup. And I've got 1 seed that's popped, so we're going to plant that. And then I guess you won't hear from me for a few days or whatever until we get some more growing. But I'll keep you posted. And this is going to be really good. Again, the clinic where I go, the Purple Kush was $13 once. Then it went down to $10. Well, now because of the competition, it's down to $8. But that's still quite expensive. That adds up. If you're smoking every day, you're going to be spending, let's say, $280 a week or something like that. So to smoke that much, really, you need it to be free. But anyhow, these are our lights, and we'll be turning them on soon, and that'll be that. Anyhow, back in a minute. Okay, now my friends, so I have 4 pots, and I just marked, 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's our little seed. You can see that the tail has come out. So all I'm going to do is, and I'm not going to put it in the center because I'm going to train it to fold around. So I'm going to put it off to the side a little bit, and just make a little hole with your finger and make sure that it's facing down, though it will always turn around. And now we're just going to cover it up. That's it. The baby is in the ground. So that's all we're going to do. And I'll just show you something for a second also. Okay, now that's what the lights are going to look like. Okay, but anyhow, we don't need them on yet. And we're just going to let this grow. So I'll be talking to you in a while.